Today on the Home Strategist, I'm debuting a new ongoing segment that I'm excited about called What Makes This House Great. Learn to strategically identify the elements of a home that make it a winner while we break down an actual property. Make killer upgrades, build equity quickly, and become a smarter homeowner in the process. I'm Dr. C, and you're watching the Home Strategist. All right, before we get into this, let's set some context for this segment. What makes this house great isn't about promoting a specific property or telling you what to buy. I don't share addresses of the properties, and that's really not the point of this anyway. This is about how to look at houses. I'm walking through real examples and talking out loud about what to notice, what to ignore, and what has long-term potential for homeowners like you. These elements may be obvious to some and not so obvious to others. One thing I've learned in over 2 decades of teaching is never assume the obvious. If you can learn to see the patterns, you'll make better decisions no matter where or when you're buying. So this is not just a house tour, a flipper's breakdown, or a before and after reel. This is about strategic pattern recognition. It's buyer education without all the realtor or DIY jargon. So let's get to it. This is the home that we are going to be breaking down today together. And what you're seeing on your screen right now is pretty much what I saw the very first time I ever drove up to this home. Nice setting, nice neighborhood. It was fall. So let's talk about the house. It's a single family home built in 1938, 2 bed, 1 bath, about 1,000 livable square feet, give or take. The asking price of it was $120,000. I would describe this as just a charming, cute Midwestern cottage / Cape Cod, kind of a hybrid type of home. Very typical of what you would find in a variety of different neighborhoods in the Midwest. It had a really nice sized lot, 8,700 square feet, lots of room to grow out back if you wanted to do an addition. There was an alley in the back of the house. The setting of it is also important. This was a really nice, stable, historic Midwestern town. It had its own industry, it had its own business culture, but it also served as a bit of a bedroom community for some of the towns around it. So just a lot of character in this town, which is important. It was a really attractive residential street, as you could see from the photos. It was surrounded by similar homes. This is important. You do not want to own the sore thumb in the neighborhood. 2 doors down, there's another sort of Cape Cod style with the 3 gables in the front. Just very attractive neighborhood, and the house definitely fit into the neighborhood well. Other important details. There had been some previous upgrades done to the home, which you will see when we get into the other photos from the inside. This was an estate sale, and the children, there was a couple of kids, their elderly father had passed away in the hospital. He had been living in this house. They were very motivated to move this house. This is what a good realtor can discover for you. And I'm going to do an episode down the road talking about how to find a good realtor. But my realtor at the time just asked the listing agent, hey, what's the story with this house? And she got the story that it was an estate sale, highly motivated children wanted to move the house. What the pictures don't show was that there was a decent roof on the house. This was one of the big ones for me. The windows had been replaced. It had modern vinyl double hung style windows that fit the character of the house, yet they were a major upgrade from what the house had originally, with probably a single pane, drafty window that just didn't function very well. Another kind of hidden gem that stupidly I didn't get any pictures of was that it had an unusually spacious basement. And another unusual characteristic of the basement was that it was a poured concrete basement, not a block or stone basement, as was common in this part of the country back in that era. So whoever built this house really splurged and did a nice job. So if anyone ever decided to finish this basement, it had a really good platform for anyone that wanted to do anything to it. And it was a really dry basement too, an unusually dry basement for this part of the country. On the downside, what the pictures don't show, and I'll show the garage later, but it had its sort of a so-so detached garage out back. So let's take a trip inside the home and I'll tell you what I saw when I walked in. Right away after coming in from the front porch area, I saw this right here. This is the front living room. And I saw brand new carpet, new paint. The woodwork was in very nice shape. I saw the arches, so it had a lot of character inside the house. Again, very typical of this era of home. Walking through that large archway, transitioning from the living room into the dining area, I saw brand new luxury vinyl plank flooring. It looked bright. There was a lot of natural light. Pretty typical of that era with a lot of windows. Really impressed with what I saw. And this comes back to those upgrades that I talked about earlier, where I could see that the house had been painted and there'd been new flooring put in, and that saves a lot of money for a homeowner. So this thing was move-in ready. This wasn't like some flip house that was all trashed and in terrible condition. Walking through that entry from the dining room, I entered the kitchen, and this was where I first noticed definite areas of improvement. One of the things I noticed was that there were no appliances, which in the Midwest is actually kind of unusual. I know in places like Arizona and other parts of the country, it's common to have to buy your own appliances for a home that's already been lived in. Usually the previous owners leave their appliances behind, the fridge and the stove. That wasn't the case here. They'd taken the appliances with them. The cabinets were one of the major things that stood out here. These were not the original cabinets to the home. If you didn't want to replace these and you wanted to keep the kitchen the same, these could have easily been repainted and refaced. It also had older laminate countertops, no backsplash, and an old range hood. Lots of cabinet space though. That was the positive. It had cabinets that went all the way to the ceiling. The cabinets were not a complete loser, but there could definitely be some upgrading done to this kitchen. Heading into the bedroom, bathroom area, there were two identical sized bedrooms. Both of them had surprisingly generous closet space. They were actually a walk-in closet. Really an excellent space to make some upgrades, put in some more modern closet accessories to make more storage. They had been painted, new carpet, the woodwork was in good shape. So very similar to the rest of the main floor. The bathroom, fairly typical of this era. They had put some upgrades in here too in the form of a pedestal sink and a new toilet. And it had one of these glue-on fiberglass tub surrounds. The tub was actually in decent shape. So all in all, the bathroom wasn't bad. The main floor in general was great. A young couple, a second-time home buyer, they could have moved right into this home and been perfectly comfortable. And then I walked up into the attic. This attic was absolutely amazing. There was plenty of headroom. I'm a 6'2" guy. There was plenty of area to expand this and turn it into something great. This is what got me excited. You could see the exposed chimney. This was a great attic, and it was a great space to do something with this house and to really add some value to it. And that was one of the things that I honed in on. I was looking at it from the perspective of someone that was going to buy it, do the work and flip it. But even as a homeowner buying it to live in it, this is something you could chip away at over a period of time. Now, one of the things you'll see in this photo that I hadn't mentioned yet is that this house had knob and tube wiring. A lot of people get freaked out by it. It's when it's exposed like this and people start fooling around with it and moving wires around and detaching the insulators from the studs and moving everything, that's when you start to experience problems with it. So this attic space was where the money was at as far as I was concerned, and I could already envision what I wanted to do with it, where I wanted to do it, and how that was going to play out. Let's walk through some of the key takeaways from this breakdown. First off, these were motivated sellers. They had this house and they just wanted to get it moved. When you have a motivated buyer and a motivated seller, everything goes smoothly. The backdrop of this home was almost picture perfect. You had a great town. The home fit the neighborhood. So again, you didn't feel like you were living in the sore thumb in the neighborhood. I know this term gets overused, but this house had extremely good bones. I could tell by the exposed attic and the unfinished basement that this was a very well-built home. So overall, this was a very clean, well-maintained, nice home. Another key point, this was livable as is. So this wasn't some house that had to have a bunch of stuff done to it before you could even move into it. The kitchen had unlimited potential in the sense that once you got some appliances in there, you could either do very little with it or a lot with it, because the old cliche is kitchens sell houses. The basement had unlimited potential. The attic was the diamond in the rough, as you saw from the photos and the breakdown of the property. This was where there was just crazy amounts of potential that you could do with this space and make it a really interesting addition to the home without having to physically add on to the home. In this episode, I wanted to slow things down and show you how to look at a house before anything is changed. No upgrades, no after photos, just the raw starting point and the potential that's already there. In the next episode, I'll pick up right where this leaves off and walk you through what I actually did to the house, what I changed, what I left alone, and why. I'll also show you how those decisions played out financially, so you can see the difference between cosmetic improvement and real value creation. The goal here isn't to copy this house or these choices, but to understand the thinking behind them, because that's what carries over to any house you look at. Thanks for checking out the Home Strategist. If you appreciated this content, give us a like, drop us a comment, and please subscribe to the channel.